was so much pressure, like immediately postpartum, to make sure that you're waking up to pump every 3 hours. And you're like, but in order to be a good caregiver, I have to get 4 hours of consecutive sleep. And everybody was saying to me, well, you really need to heal because you had a whole lot more trauma than the average person who gives birth. And I was like, but I don't know that that's actually the thing. You know, how am I supposed to know that? This might be normal. But it was like, okay, but you have to get up and pump. And I remember I would get up so completely exhausted and like crying because I was pumping for the first 2 weeks. I was pumping and dumping, and like, I was like, I'm literally throwing it down the drain. Like, I'm doing all of this work. I'm not sleeping. I'm not healing. And I can't remember when it was exactly that everything kind of came to a head. And I was like, this is the problem. This is why I'm not healing. And I think I probably nursed for about 3 months. I think I made it to the 3-month mark. And I was really, really sick at that point because I had like infections and I had the fistula and nothing was healing and like everything was a blur. But finally, I just couldn't do it anymore. And then, you know, once I stopped, there was all this guilt about, oh my God, I'm not feeding my kid. But in the beginning, there was so much guilt because I was like, oh my God, I'm not feeding my kid because yeah, I can't do it.
It's such a circle. It's such a weird mom guilt that we go through because we're like, we have to do this. Like, we're meant to do this. Like, it's like whatever. And then when things go like a different direction or a way we never planned or never heard of or whatever, we're like, I'm a terrible mom. Like, literally, like, I've had like my thing. I was like, I'm a terrible mom. And it's like, it has nothing to do with any of that stuff. It doesn't even make any sense. And I know a lot of people were like, oh, you want to breastfeed because it, you know, brings down the uterus and it, you know, heals your body faster. And somehow magically your, you know, all your stomach gaps, they just like suddenly you're breastfeeding, you're getting abs. I don't know if you knew that, but if you're breastfeeding, you're somehow working out your stomach. I can tell you that is a lie. Like, that is such a lie because I had, you know, an emergency C-section, didn't have a kid, didn't do any of that stuff with feeding, didn't pump, didn't do nothing, and managed to kind of get back to what my body was, you know, before. Next time around, breastfed, all this stuff. Guess what? My body was still not back to what it was. I didn't suddenly like, wow, look at me. I have a bikini body. Like, no, that's not how it works. Like, you didn't breastfeed your kid and suddenly your body goes to, I'm a supermodel. Like, no, like it doesn't work like that. Like, that is such a, like, that's such a lie. Like, they tell you, and I'm like, I don't think it matters either way, because either way, my body went back to what it was after you have, how you would be having a kid. Because like, I remember before and after for 2 boys. And guess what? The body went to back. I went wearing the same clothes that I wore before. Like, you know what I mean? Like, after having two kids and one, they're completely different situations. So I'm like, no, that is a lie. That is not true. Guess what? You still have to deal with like gap issues. You still have to deal with bathroom issues. If you have any of those, you still have to deal with like, if you have scars, surgeries, have stuff, you still got things to deal with. And that's breastfeeding does not magically make any of that healed or go away in any way, shape, or form. Like, it just, it doesn't. Like, you still have to work on it. If you want to get rid of that mommy belly, that little pooch or whatever you want to say, you got to work on that. And that takes forever. I have a lot of respect for women that do it. Like, wow, you are amazing. Like, you are like those bodybuilding, like guys that you see in like the magazines. Wow, you are an idol to the rest of us. We are not going back. Like, we didn't have that before. We're not having it now. Like, nope. I'm just happy to be healthy. Like, it's one of those, but I did hear that. I heard that when I was in the community, and then I've heard it, you know, whatever, where people say all this, that's like the highlight for breastfeeding and stuff. And I did hear people like talking about like breastfeeding or not breastfeeding, even our boobs. Okay. They were like, breastfeeding boobs, guess what? Whatever's going to happen genetically to you is what your boobs are going to look like. It doesn't matter what, like, it doesn't matter if they're going to turn into pancakes, they're going to turn into pancakes. Like, you know what I mean?
That's exactly what I was just thinking.
If you have the ones where you can tie them together, that's what happens. Like, you know, everything changes after, but it's like that there is that thing of like, if you breastfeed, somehow your body goes into this peak athletic performance or something. I don't know what it is. I'm like, no, that is a lie. That is a freaking lie. Please be warned. Like, if you're thinking about it, be warned. It does not happen.
It does not work.
Most of us are like, well, there's going to be tucks and pulls and a lot of stuff we got to do now because it ain't going nowhere. Like it's all hanging out now.